Hi, everybody. I hope you enjoyed this interview with Professor Slots. Before we get into it, I just want to say I love talking to this guy. I really enjoyed it. I liked his theories on things. I want to make it clear we don't necessarily endorse it. I don't want to say, hey, this is all true. But he was recommended to me by a URComped customer who says, nice, great guy. He's got an interesting theory. I love hearing interesting takes on things. When I worked at the state lottery a long time ago, there's somebody that hacked the system for scratch offs and managed to win millions and millions of dollars before fleeing the state. It's a crazy story. I think I touch on it in this interview. So anyway, I just want to, before we get into the interview, I want to say that, hey, I just like hearing interesting theories, and I'm not endorsing what Professor Slots is saying or saying it's true, but it's always fun to hear different theories. So enjoy the interview with Professor Slots. Hi, everybody. Craig Shacklett here with Casino Marketing University and URComped. We've got a really fun one today. I'm super excited to talk to our guest, Jon Friedl, Professor Slots. Jon, thank you so much for being here.
I'm happy to be here.
So, Jon, first of all, because I don't think I would do it justice, why don't you tell us what it is you do? Actually, I should say, among many things. I know you're a well-educated man, 8 degrees, you do teaching, you do a lot of things, but maybe touch on that and then tell us what you do in the casino space.
Sure. I went to school for 20 years. Seemed like the thing to do, mostly physics and engineering, some math, ended up getting an MBA kind of degree. You can see that all on my LinkedIn account. And it was interesting to find that all those degrees would be paid for, or they'd pay me for those, and I still have the student loans. But as an aerospace engineer working for jet engine manufacturers, first one, then I got recruited to another, who was kind enough to lay me off middle of last year, and the PhD in the building, who does that? But letting it go, I decided that the business side had started a few years before that, which I was doing in the evenings on the side, kind of for fun, kind of seriously. I'd put more time into that I would really make an effort. And I hadn't put a lot of attention into YouTube, and YouTube needed it. And now I'm kind of blowing up on YouTube. So I guess maybe I should have done that before the podcast, before writing the book, before working on the website. But these things you learn.
I could flip a coin 20 times and randomly get 15 in a row. And, oh my God, I'm lucky. So what would you say to people that are like, slots they're random. You may be a super lucky guy, but it's impossible to figure out a system on slot machines. What would you say to
that? Well, every day I get those emails, those comments on YouTube, and they, people say I've been, worked on slot machines for 25 years, and they're really missing the point. Have you ever had a statistics course? I mean, I don't mean to pull out the classes and the degrees, but statistics is not a popular topic in school, right? Mm-hmm. If you can avoid it, you will. And in this case, it's really hurting a lot of people. If you shuffle cards, they're randomly shuffled if you shuffle them up enough. If you throw a dice, it's random. This is what people think they mean when they talk about slot machines. If slot machines were that kind of random, the physical universe, flipping, folding, physical actions, you would win about 6% of the time on a slot machine. Out of any possible win, you win about 6% of the time. You might get something, not 90%, which is shown in all the statistics. What's going on? So the easiest explanation I've had for people is a slot machine is not a roulette wheel. Each reel turning isn't freely turning. It's on a motor and told to stop, told to move, told to stop. So they have to adjust the odds of winning so that we would have slot machines. Otherwise, nobody would play at a 6% return. Let's say you have a physical reel. It has one pay line, a physical reel, 3 reels, physical one pay line, 12 symbols on each reel. Okay. How many combinations, unique combinations do you get? And I want to make sure I got the number right. 12 times 12 times 12. That's 12 to the third power because there's 12 symbols, 3 reals. So how many unique responses on the pay line could happen? 1,728.
Mm-hmm.
So how many outcomes are there that pay? I'll be generous and I'll say 200. It's probably more like 50, but I'll be generous and I'll say 200. 1 cherry, 2 cherries, 3 cherries, top 3 symbols in the jackpot. If you get 3 cherries and 3 top jackpots, the 3 top symbols, they have equal opportunity if it's all like a roulette wheel. So let's do 1528 divided by 1728. 1528, I didn't do that right. 1528 divided by 1728. Right. It's 200 divided by, I apologize, 200 divided by 1728. That would be how many times you win. And that's just under 12% of the time.
Got it. So so you're saying just based on the odds of the reels, what are the combinations that'll actually pay? If it was totally random, you would almost never win. So they have to juice the odds.
They have to do something. They have since slot machines began. They've raised the odds. But what have they done? They raised the odds on getting nothing. No, actually, they've raised the odds. They've lowered the odds on getting nothing because, 88% of the time they got 0. Mm-hmm. And, we need it to be more like 88% of the time we got something. So what they have to do is use something that's in a statistics class. It's still random, but it's something called a weighted average, where each possible outcome can have its own probability, own frequency. From the beginning, nothing new. You have to have better odds than you would get if it was just random.
So what is something, let's give a taste from the course, because that somebody may be listening to this and again, okay, all right, so got a super smart guy, aircraft engineer, a lot of degrees. Maybe he has figured out that there's some weaknesses in these random number generators and some patterns.
It's all very obvious, honestly.
Some patterns.
I'm educated. A question whether or not I'm smart is actually a different question, but
so there's patterns in the distribution.
Yeah.
How do you exploit it? Because you mentioned you turned a profit 2 years in a row. How does this knowledge translate into turning a profit?
Right. So there's a bunch of different casino business practices that they do. I could go on for a while, but let's just pick one.
Yep.
The most popular one that I talk about is have you ever sat down on a machine and won?
Sure. Mm-hmm.
Okay. So your response that the casino is counting on is that you will say, this is a winning machine. I'm going to stay here and I'm going to use the money I just won, not my own money, and I'm going to spend it. And then at the point at which you spent it, you were like, and I'm going to reach into my wallet and I'm going to spend some more. And people do that. And so that is one of those things where I come along and I say, when you just sit down and you win, stop. Go to the next machine. Sit down and win. And stop. Go to the next machine. And this way, now, how easy is that to do? It's not easy to do that.
Sure. Yeah.
But and people are like, well, does it really work? And I'm like, it works at 1 in 4 casinos. That's my statistics that I've gotten so far. So I wrote a test procedure. I say, go out and make minimum bet on 20 machines. If half of them give you a taste, great. I should say good. I prefer better, but good. If it's less than 50, half of them, then, I'm like, well, don't waste your time in that casino doing that. Find another casino. But if it's 50%, that's good. And if it's 75%, 15 out of 20 machines, hey, that's great. And if it's 95%, okay, now that's excellent. And you might want to think about going to the high limit room.
So, and the minimum bet, how many spins do you tell people to do before? Is it very first spin or it's?
I say that's a variable. I recommend 5. 5 spins. If you win anything at all, if the little indicator on the interface has something other than 0, move on to the next one. When I did this at a local casino, I did it in a high limit room because I'd seen the behavior going on, so I didn't have to test. I saw somebody else test, and I won hand pays. 3 hand pays in 45 minutes. Each hand pay had to be administered, paperwork and all that. Took about 15 minutes, 15 minutes on each one. So I ended up playing for like 4 minutes and 3 hand pays. And then I went home. Now, I had to drive an hour to get there. And I was very upset with, I'm just like, I was going to spend the whole day here, but now this happened and I got to go home. And I haven't been here for lunch yet. so it can be difficult to, not give the money back. And so a lot of what I talk about is money management, loss limits, how to play a machine and give up on it, when you should. So there's casino safety. We're talking about strategies, but there's the whole casino environment. And, how many hundreds can you put in your pocket? How many bills can you put in the jeans that I imagine that you must be wearing right now? You've already got a phone in there. You already got car keys. You got a wallet in your back pocket. How many bills can you put in your pockets without any of them sticking out?
I have no idea. Let's say
you should know these
50.
things.
I'm not well, now I know your system. Now I will.
200. If it's hundreds, it's $20,000, and that's it. I don't know if you can see over there. There's bands of bundles of their. I'm not going to go over there to unplug, but there's 7 of them, 5 of them over there. I was supposed to get 7, but they wouldn't give it to me. Bands that go around $10,000 bundles, because I kind of collect them as a personal hobby, like a good serial killer would. It's my trophy.
That's awesome. Yeah. So that makes sense. So you're saying that you recognize that these weighted averages are distributions, and some of these distributions follow business practices where there's a slot machine, or certain casinos can program their slot machines to follow a certain pattern where it's give a taste, get them hooked. They play through the money they won, and then they reach in their pocket.
I talk about why, and I explain everything, why I think this is happening and this and the other thing. The tastes are, was shocking to see. I haven't worked for a slot manufacturer, or I'm not a game themed designer, so I have to wonder where in the machine is that. But I see it, and as an engineer, I take the practical approach, and proceed to use it. But there's a bunch of different things that I've spotted, and I just find the counter reaction that what you're supposed to do. There's a character, you may remember the name, Jimmy the Greek. Famous poker player. I think I'm paraphrasing. I don't have the exact quote in front of me, but he used to give this advice for playing poker, which was, and again, I apologize, I don't have it perfectly right. If you're a poker player, don't play the other player. Or excuse me, don't play poker, play the other player. So I'm going to modify that, and I'm going to say, don't play the slot machine, play the casino. And if that helps understand this.
Yeah.
30% profit.
Yeah. Hey, numbers speak for themselves. How's it going in 2021 so far?
Excellent. Laid off in the middle of last year, monetized on YouTube, which is getting 1,000 subscribers at the beginning of October. And now I'm crossing 18,000 and getting 4,300 and 3,900 subscribers per month. But I haven't put out many videos, except for yesterday and today, for the last 2 months. And it's just 10,000 views a day. It's all small numbers. But Brian Christopher, I'm coming.
Well, you were referred by a URComp customer who is a fan of yours and your method. So I was excited to talk to you, Jon, and I appreciate you sharing some of your knowledge. So if people want to get more of a taste of and learn more, I know you said you have a course. You also have a lot of free information on your website. So why don't you tell everybody your website and how they can follow you on YouTube and any social channels?
Sure. Everything's Professor Slots. When I told my father, what I was doing, and he's like, "Why didn't you call it Jon Friedl?" And I said, "Well, nobody cares." And he kind of looked at me, and I'm like, "Well, Jon Friedl Sr. cares, and Jon Friedl Jr. cares, but how do you even pronounce Friedel?" And it's Jon, by the way. So Professor Slots, youtube.com/Professor Slots, professorslots.com for my website. Podcast is called Professor Slots. The book doesn't really have Professor Slots on it. That's called Learning to Win. And if you take the course, you get a PDF copy for free.
Well, Professor Slots, Jon, thank you so much for your time today, and look forward to hearing more about how 2021 ends up and then subsequent years. Let's hope we go up from 30% up to 50% or 100% profit.
I'm trying to help people, and I think we shall see. We shall see. Answer their questions and get them some money.
Well, hey, Jon, thank you very much, sir.
All right. Thank you.